Well, you did the game with me on Saturday, Gary, GWS in Sydney. It was the pressure befitting a grand final. I've never seen so many good players not have a second to work out what they're going to do with the footy. It was just get it and get rid of it or get hammered. And this was so good to be a part of. We sat there and just kept looking at each other going, my God, this is amazing. They are just smashing each other, these two teams, but fairly and aggressively.
And kicking goals too.
Yeah, loved
so
it.
you got the whole lot.
Game of the round. It was an absolute cracker. You want to see what it looks like when a player comes ready to play round one. Some sides did, some sides didn't. But this man did, Josh Simpkin. This is the very first bounce of the game, first game of the year. So he wins the centre clearance, pumps it in like we've spoken about, centre bounce goals at a premium. And then have a look at him charge ahead of every other midfielder. And this is the part I love here. He's gone past 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the effort and the head wobble to try and get there. He was running so fast, and the finish on his left. That was just a cracking goal from Josh.
That's when you know you're set for a good year.
Oh, yeah.
When you see that. He's
great
a
intent.
talented kid. Jack Gunston came back, talk about comeback stories. This one gets a little bit lost. He's had really bad back injury. He's a craftsman. He knows how to play forward. He makes it difficult for defenders, and it's what frustrates me most about forwards. You've got this unique and inherent advantage in that where you go, they have to come with you. That's what good forwards do.
There's about 10 changes of direction there, Gaz.
Yeah, and that was just one. I mean, he lost 4 different defenders throughout the day, kicked 3 goals forward, was nearly best player on the ground. Love seeing him. I love seeing an old-fashioned forward back.
What he needs to do is rediscover how to kick the ball.
Yes, well, we'll get
terrible, Jack.
Get down there and work with him,
No,
Jace.
it's not my back. It's not my bad.
Get down there and work with him.
Can I give you something that's bad?
Yes, please.
Now, this isn't a shot at the umpires, who I think are doing a great job, but we need a facility in place. Imagine if this had have decided the game. Look where he marks it. So he marks it there just inside the boundary. Look where he plays on from. He's out of bounds 10 yards further down the ground. In he comes, play on. Imagine if that had have led to a goal that decided the game. Do we need a facility in place for something extraordinary like that?
He's just starting to move into his work. He is. I like it.
We should have collaborated.
Why?
I've gone the umpires.
Oh, no, that's not a crack at the umpires. I'm just saying that was something maybe we could revisit.
It was a veiled crack at the umpires. And we have spoken about the umpires a lot over the last couple of weeks, about respect. And
how good's that?
Great job.
How good's the respect thing?
Amazing. The adjustment from the players has been incredible. But there is still a time to hold them accountable. And the best way to earn respect and keep respect is to not guess. So you can see where the umpire came from behind there. He flat out guessed because this was a handball that got paid as a throw. So we're all about respect. Great message, and it's been well adhered to by the players. Just don't guess, boys.
Sounds like a crack to me.
It doesn't.
My ugly is a bit of a stretch. It's the Richmond players that couldn't get to Patrick Cripps because I just wanted to see
Bad
Patrick.
or ugly?
It's an ugly. It's a bad.
Bad,
yeah. Patrick Cripps was just sensational in the middle of the ground. I just love watching him back to his very best. He butchered it by the foot early in the piece, but his last quarter was what has led us all to admire him so much. And they tried, the Tigers, of course, but they just couldn't get it. And then what about the centre clearance when he had about 3 hanging off him and he handballed over his head? So I love that. And he's going forward. Those metre gain numbers are massive for Patrick Cripps. So let's hope. And the signs were there against Melbourne in the community game that we did, Jace. They were similar numbers to that. So that's great. Over to you for the ugly.
All right, now, this is an interesting one. There's talk about his contract, and that's fine, but we're doing Joe Danaher, and I need to work out what's going on in between the ears. Have a look at this because it's wrong on so many fronts. Takes a great mark. You've got to have match awareness, and by that, you should know what time's on the clock. Secondly, he plays on, the siren goes, he plays on with his back to what's still to unfold between him and the goal. There could have been pressure coming to the teammate that he actually handballed the ball to. But then third, to laugh and go off high-fiving teammates, I would have torn him a new one, Gaz. I just can't believe this is a young man that's got enormous talent. He wants to be a pivotal premiership player. It's got to be better than that.
We joke, but it's that persona
really
and that it gives you reason to pause when you think about trusting him on the biggest stages.
Kick 4 and 1 on the game.
Yeah, and he's capable of that, Gary.
I know. I've been critical of him in the past as well, but I think that's just him. What have you got for us?
That's okay. What have I got? Let's go back to Wednesday night. And if there was ever going to be a player that copped a bit of attention coming into round one, it would have been the reigning Norm Smith medalist. So here's Christian Petrarca, forward 50, by himself, 3 Western Bulldogs standing in front of him. But do you think any of them might put a little bit of work into him? I mean, he just has to stand point and take an uncontested mark. we're talking about the best player in the game at the moment that was basically just allowed to run around and do his thing. We spoke about tagging on the night, whether there's a time and a place for it. Maybe not, but when he's standing inside 50, maybe just go and stand next to him, Jace. Put an arm across
Interesting
him.
in times to come. We should have collaborated because mine's an umpiring decision.
Oh, no!
Well, it's not a crack. It's just they got it wrong. My eyes, because they're so good, the umpires, they don't. Look at where Luke McDonald comes from here. He sends up on a goal for North. Can't do that.
No.
You shouldn't let to do that. And so they've just made a mistake.
Sounds like a crack to me, Gaz.
Well, had I known that you two were going to really obliterate them, I
No,
wouldn't have
not
done
at
it.
all. I think they're doing a great job, the umpires.
No, they are indeed. But I just,
New rule or new interpretations of rules they're handling very well.
Righto, let's get into some rapid fires. Just some ones that I want to tick off before we hand over to Jared and to Robbo. Who was your nominee for the NAB Rising Star this weekend? There were some unbelievably impressive performances.
It's a tough one.
So
I mean,
away you go.
Rochelle for me. I just thought the way he controlled the forward line for a young man. I mean, all of his goals were balls that he genuinely won himself. I mean, Martin was great. I was there. And
Don't take it. That's my go. So you just talk about
All right,
Rochelle.
I'll say Rochelle. That's all right.
Yes, I knew he was.
Martin.
Well,
Jace?
in a losing team that's been smashed, how do you have 27 and kick 5?
Yeah, good point.
On debut.
Yep.
How do you do that?
It's a great point. This kid was fantastic. And then you had Nick Dacos. You had this man here just came in from the Sandful with the haircut and just kicked 3 and was the highest rated player on the ground. Nick had 27 off half-back and lived up to every single bit of the hype that's been bandied around. There was a conversation for a while about, big, long... And Jason Horne-Francis was really, really impressive. And
he's great.
He's just going to get better and better. So there was a conversation for a while about long seasons, long pre-season, 22-week. You can't play them week in, week out.
Yep.
Surely that's just thrown out the window.
Yeah, well, we saw Ken Hinkley do that with the young boys across at Port Adelaide, Dersma, Butters and Rosie. So he said, he put it on record that we're just going to play them. And if they run themselves into the ground, so be it. But they'll learn resilience, they'll learn toughness and the rigours of an AFL season. So that's a philosophy I'd be taking with players.
You right there?
No.
He's dying. One size doesn't fit all. There might be the odd player that needs to be nursed a little bit more because he doesn't have the same physiology or his body mightn't come up the way it does. But I'm with you. If they're good to go, let them go.
Who's your pick of the half-backs that are running around? There's a whole heap of them that have either been redeployed or have played there for all their career and they're ripping at the shreds.
I'll get accused of bias because it's a Hawthorn player, but he's my favourite player to watch, certainly at Hawthorn. CJ, Chankwath Jiath. The guy's a freak athlete. A freak athlete. He's had an interrupted pre-season, coming back from injury, and you watch some of the things that he does. There's no ceiling on this young man. I'm not quite sure what he's capable of, where he could go to. One of the best intercept marking, running, rebounding defenders the game's produced in recent years. Just exciting to see him every time.
He is. His upside's unbelievable.
Correct.
And I watched Nick Blakey. We both watched Nick Blakey. They found his spot for him. Beautiful user, the lizard. He's got beautiful skills. That's so much so that Matt De Boer was sent to him. That's sort of how they rate him. And Luke McDonald was sensational across there as well. Footy IQ. What do you make of the Fremantle, the end of the Fremantle game?
Oh, I mean, just what a cool head. You speak about game awareness, Jace, or the lack of with Joe Danaher, but this was an unbelievable heads-up play to just have the wherewithal to do anything to keep the ball in play. I mean, your instincts can take over there as a defender and you just lose yourself and say, let's just get the ball over the line. But no, really, really smart stuff and game-winning stuff.
There's so much talk around the Gold Coast Suns, and Stuart Dew's on AFL 360 coming up, so it'd be great to hear him with the boys. They've been so impressive through the summer months and over the first of the community and the practice match. They've gone over. They had to win against West Coast, given what the West Coast Eagles have endured in the past month that they did, given they gave up a bit of a lead. Beautifully led by Tuke Miller and Matty Rowell. What's it do? What's a win like that? That's a long trip for them on the road. What does that do for that Gold Coast side?
I think it's enormous for them because, you're right, they had to beat West. They'll never get a better chance to beat West Coast, who had half their best team out. But they got in a dogfight and they found a way to get over the line. And too often over the last few years, they've been competitive against decent teams but just fell short. Yeah. And to be a good team, you've got to start making those just fall short efforts into we got over the line, and that's what they did.
It buys them time as well, and I think it buys the coach some breathing room because he's been the subject of a lot of conversation over the summer by sheer nature of the fact that Alistair Clarkson's on the market, and Ralphie mentioned Mark Evans before, and all of these connections. So the best way to silence all of that is with wins. So it was a game that they should have won and they did well.
Question for the host.
Oh, yes, please.
You're coming off a flag. You turn up round one, look like premiers again, have a big win. Is it about time now for a little bit of complacency to slip into rear its ugly head down at Demonland?
Yeah, we all went into that game. You wonder, I do anyway. You go, is that going to just take an edge off them? Is it going to be a touch of
They're flying.
self-satisfied and all that sort of thing? And then we say, well, the blokes that didn't play are the ones who are going to be driving the team. And this was 4 minutes to go, game's over, Hunt didn't play in that final. This is not about effort when the game is done, right? It's over, they've won, there's 3.5 minutes on the clock. That is what will maintain the rage for this side, I think, going forward. And it was great to see. And there were moments early in the piece where Joel Smith did the same thing. Joel Smith didn't play in the grand final as well. So
it's a great pick-up, guys. That's how you build good habits. You practice playing to the very last minute where the scoreboards are relevant.
thank you.
Great.
Is it clearing them again?
My brother pointed that out to me. So
Are you declaring them again?
no, but I was really happy seeing that because, you know, there'd be blokes playing in that side and they picked up another injury with Salem, so the guys getting an opportunity are going to grab it with everything they've got. Hey, it's a joy to have had you with us today. It
Pleasure
always
to be
is. Nick continues to say that you're his hero as a kid and
Sign
said he had to pinch
my run sheet, please.
had to pinch himself that he's now sitting on the couch with you, Jason. So
Come on,
thank
mate.
you so much.
12-year-old me wouldn't believe this.
What?
But I'm sitting here with Jason, not you.
Not you. Not you.
Not you, mate.
Just had to ask.
1,254 over here.